on this edition of ATV News.
The 4 occupants of the home, they're fine, shaken up and scared.
Cops say a man with an AR-15 went into a home and demanded car keys. It gets even worse after he took off in the stolen car.
It's Utah's sandbox, and it's a fun place to just go out and ride.
We'll show you how many people flock to the sand dunes for Easter weekend and what workers say you need to do to stay safe.
Money isn't growing on fruit trees this summer. I'm Yvonne Bass, and I'll tell you why peaches could be costing you more.
It's sunny in Logan. In weather, I'll tell you how that sun can affect our canyon winds.
It may be called softball, but the Lady Aggies were playing hardball this past weekend. In sports, I'll show you who came out on top.
All that and more, this is ATV News.
Nobody deserves to be a victim, but I think as far as the outcome of this one, it's as good as we could hope for.
Medics lowered this man out of an ambulance and wheeled him into Logan Regional Hospital after Cache County Sheriff says deputies shot him. Welcome to this edition of ATV News. I'm Leah CRISCIONE.
And I'm Yvonne Bass. Sheriff Chad JENSEN says the man went into a Wellsville home, demanded the keys to a van, and took off in it.
The 4 occupants of the home, they're fine, shaken up and scared, certainly, but no injuries were sustained over there.
JENSEN says deputies chased the man in a high-speed pursuit through Nibley and into Paradise. The sheriff says the man got out of the van with an AR-15 and confronted deputies. The sheriff says deputies shot him multiple times. He is in stable condition. JENSEN says no one else was injured.
In other news, more people tearing up the sand dunes. That's what the Bureau of Land Management says. They're expecting over 15,000 people visited Little Sahara in Juab County over the weekend. Sarah Murphy hit the dunes to find out more visitors means more risks and what workers say they're doing about it.
Speed, sand, and some bumps. This is the view almost 15,000 people had this weekend at Little Sahara.
It's Utah's sandbox, and it's a fun place to just go out and ride.
The revving of engines is common over the Easter holiday.
It is a popular weekend for folks to come out and recreate. It's a big family and friend event that has been a tradition for quite some time. The off-highway vehicle community really enjoys getting together and catching up with one another.
But with the fun comes the danger. Workers say each year they prepare for crashes and injuries by teaching visitors driving safety.
With sand dunes, oftentimes you can't see what's on the backside, so we encourage you to be really cautious coming around them.
We work closely with Juab County, the sheriff, with emergency services, and with Utah State Parks.
I just got out of one of these UTVs where the workers were nice enough to take me out for my very first time. Now, we only went about 20 to 30 miles per hour at our fastest, but they say some of these other ones can go up to 60 or 70 miles per hour, and that's why they say one of the biggest precautionary measures drivers and passengers can take is wearing a helmet.
They're really important because it's really hazardous at times with so many people out here.
One new safety addition.
We do have a new sand car this year. It is for law enforcement and search and rescue purposes. It does have a Corvette engine with 400 horsepower, so that allows us to quickly get into those dunes in the back and to extract as needed in those emergency situations.
For drivers hitting the gas and heading uphill, workers' advice?
We just ask the public, recreate responsibly and stay safe.
Sarah Murphy, ATV News.
The Bureau of Land Management says they'll open a new visitor center in the fall where people can learn more about driver safety. For years, the Great Salt Lake has been shrinking, leaving large areas of lake bed and what they contain now exposed to the atmosphere.
USU grad students are collecting data from these dry lake beds, and what they have found could have major consequences for the communities in Utah. Annika Johns went to Antelope Island to show you what these students have found.
Driving along Antelope Island Road, there isn't much to see, other than some rocks, dirt, dry branches, and the distant shore of the Great Salt Lake. But it wasn't always this way.
Currently, Great Salt Lake is about 50% of the size it was in the late 1980s. So it's dropped about 11 feet.
In 1986, the Great Salt Lake looked like this. But after years of urban development, water use, and an increasing drought, it now looks like this. And one of the areas that's been hit hardest is the southeast side, where a group of USU grad students are studying what's left behind.
While the receding waterline is concerning for researchers, what these USU graduate students are looking at isn't the waterline. Instead, they are studying the dry and crusty landscape of what used to be Farmington Bay. More specifically, these students are looking at the airborne dust that is being kicked up into the air from the lake bed.
All of the things that we do in our day-to-day lives, driving our cars, all of the different industries that are located in this region. From across the entire watershed, all of these different pollutants are ultimately ending up in Great Salt Lake.
The team has found what's called polychlorinated biphenyl, or PCBs, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, in the dust. These are organic chemicals made up of carbon, hydrogen, and chlorine atoms, along with the chemicals that occur when you burn fossil fuels. The lake water acts as a protective layer, locking in these PCBs and PAHs into the bottom of the lake. But as the water level decreased, these pollutants are now exposed and being thrown into the air when the wind picks up.
As far as PCBs and PAHs are concerned, these are carcinogenic chemicals. They are things that really any level of exposure to them is not a good thing.
And while the dust and pollutants it contains is a concern, researchers say the Great Salt Lake isn't lost just yet.
It's not a simple problem to address, and it's not always as simple as just refilling the lake, but whatever we can do to conserve water and advocate for water policies that make the Great Salt Lake a priority and prioritize making sure that the Great Salt Lake doesn't continue to shrink at the rate that it has been.
Annika Johns, ATV News.
To learn more about the Great Salt Lake and the problems it's facing, Friends of Great Salt Lake is holding an issues forum on May 18th to the 20th. We'll leave a link on our Facebook page.
Our weather was getting warm, and then if you remember last week we had snow. That cold snap could be bad news for your grocery budget. I talked to farmers to learn how the snow affected fruit crops.
All this is frozen.
This farmer is looking at his trees to see what flowers and buds could turn into peaches.
In some cases, we're seeing whole orchards where nearly every flower is already damaged.
The warm weather coaxed the buds to swell and sprout. The contrasting cold weather the second week of April froze and killed those buds.
The tree blooms earlier when the weather is hotter. If it's colder, it takes longer to bloom.
Quintana Lopez says this orchard lost 80% of its potential fruit.
It makes me feel upset because we have to pay either way, even though there won't be much fruit.
These branches look empty because it's too early in the season. They might look just as bare when the season does come around. On top of the lack of fruit, farmers say fruit prices might go up because of rising prices elsewhere.
Costs are higher for us because the water will cost more. The insecticides will cost more. Everything will cost a lot more.
To keep the trees healthy, these sprinklers will water just as much as if there were going to be a lot of fruit this summer. Quintana Lopez and Dr. Black say using less water for things like lawns could help farmers have water for their crops.
The United States Department of Agriculture says there's assistance for crop losses. A link to the program for freeze losses is on our Facebook page. And coming up.
It's a lot like golf, but with a disc. I'm Kayla Peterson, and coming up, I'll show you a sport that USU students have come to love.
Here at the TSC, students can complain about any issue on campus, whether that be the food or the parking. My name's Kainoa Johnson, and I'll tell you more about Gripe Night coming up.
It's warm enough for these kids to play outside. Joe Cooney will tell you how long that warmth will last in weather. The current temperature is 59 degrees.
Live with a human for a while and you get to know a few things. Like I know she does strange tricks for no treats. But the one thing I will never for the life of me know is how she gets so tiny and inside that box. Natalie, how do you get so tiny?
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. This is a serious problem, but one we can solve. Visit feedingamerica.org to help. Together we can solve hunger. Together we're feeding America.
Hi, I'm Joe Cooney, and welcome to ATV Weather. Let's start by looking at our national radar. The main system we're seeing today is a series of storms and rain and a little bit of snow coming up the Mississippi River from the Gulf Coast. These storms and snow are culminating in Minnesota, where you'll see the bulk of that action and a little bit of snow. As the skies above Utah are nice and clear, let me take a minute to tell you about our local weather system and the canyon winds. So the Logan Canyon affects our weather system here during the mornings and afternoons. As the air heats up the winds in the as the sun heats up the air in the canyon, the cold, rocky slopes of the canyon keep pockets of air on the sides of those slopes nice and cold and dense. As the morning progresses, those cold, dense pockets slide down the hills of the canyon and out to Logan. Let's look at our wind map from this morning to see how that looks. So as you can see here, we saw a little bit of wind at 8 a.m. this morning coming off of those slopes right into the Cache Valley. Let's take a look at the next 7 days. You'll want to bring out those umbrellas on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday because we might be looking at the precipitation. Just some rain on Thursday, but snow on Saturday, and maybe some lightning on Friday. Friday has the highest chance of precipitation at 90%. Coming into the rest of the week, you'll see that precipitation start to go away with clear skies and temperatures in the high 50s and low 60s. Now that you're all caught up with the weather and know a bit more about our system in Logan, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Joe. You have heard of Frisbees, you have heard of golf, but have you ever combined the two? Kayla Peterson shows you more about Frisbee golf.
Frisbees hitting between chains is a sound Frisbee and disc golfers say they love.
No, it's fun. It's an easy thing to do. Just you're just able to go to a Frisbee golf course and just start playing. It's just a fun thing to do with friends.
Frisbee golf scoring is just like golf, where the lowest score wins. But how does one play?
Disc golf is essentially a game of golf, but it's played with these baskets, and you just throw with a bunch of different kinds of Frisbees.
Disc golf is a lot like golf, where each disc can symbolize another club. So then you would know how much force you need to use when you throw it.
I love playing disc golf because it's something I can do alone. I mean, I don't need to have a group of friends to play with me. It's just something nice to be able to walk around and just play without a lot of pressure or anything.
Golf and Frisbee golf are similar in the way where the lowest score wins, but different because you can set up a course anywhere.
They're both different. They work in different ways. With a golf course, it's nice, green, and pristine, but Frisbee golf courses are usually more rugged and they're hiking around a lot, so they're not really comparable.
So next time you're playing, listen for the chains. Kayla Peterson, ATV News.
USU Campus Recreation says they will hold another Frisbee golf tournament in the fall semester.
Are you happy with everything here at USU? Kainoa Johnson visited the annual GRIPE night to hear what students have to say about parking, tuition, fees, and everything in between.
We need a Chick-fil-A on campus and it to replace Scotsman's Corner.
In my 4 years at USU, I have not met a straight man that is worthy of my time.
Why are these students so upset? And what's with all the complaining? The student advocate vice president says students need this chance to let their voices be heard.
GRIPE Night is mostly an event that aims to sort of provide a venue where students are comfortable sharing their thoughts. Some of it's lighthearted, others are more of a serious nature. So that's sort of the object, is just to kind of provide a way for students to voice their thoughts.
Attendance is 12% of my grade in mass media law, and I literally learned nothing from being there.
Some students say the chance to trash on the school is a welcome one.
I love GRIPE Night. It's one of my favorite events because it's a safe place to basically air the university's dirty laundry for a second.
Why is USU a Pepsi campus? Like, who actually prefers that over Coke? No one.
Now, Gripe Night gave a chance for students' voices to be heard at the podium, but those weren't the only voices being heard. If you tweeted in, there was a chance that your tweet could have been read at the podium for everyone else to hear.
Tweets flooded in on hashtag USU Gripe Night, where people complained about everything from bad dating experiences to the parking office.
Oh, this one says, why does Eastside Coffee close so early? I need coffee all effing day.
Students like Clark say they need more events like Gripe Night to let their voices be heard, but they also want it to be taken seriously.
I wish that Gripe Night was taken more seriously, because I think that student leaders really take it seriously and they really want to improve the campus in the best way that they can.
Gripe Night isn't the only place you can voice your concerns. The Student Association has the My Voice program, where you can submit any concerns, suggestions, or comments about anything happening on campus. They say their officers work with faculty, staff, and administrators to find solutions.
Honestly, I mean, if it's bothering you, we want to hear it. Doesn't matter, I guess, what it is. We just want to know.
Kainoa Johnson, ATV News.
For a link to the My Voice program, visit our Facebook page. And coming up.
In sports, JC Caldwell showed you who hit the scoreboard and why it helped them land Mountain West Softball Player of the Week.
A wish actually helps children, gives them the courage and the strength that they need to fight against their disease.
We'll show you how this boy learned his Make-A-Wish is being granted.
It's so fun to see them smile and just get to hang out with them. It's just so fun.
A day filled with smiles and sports. We'll show you which USU coach one of these Cache Valley students raced and beat.
I tried Oxy at a couple of parties. I thought I had it under control. I didn't know it'd be this addictive. I didn't know how far I'd go to get more.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
The team, the fans, and the announcer all went crazy after this home run from Gabby Jimenez. But it wasn't the only time she got to show off her skills at the plate. Welcome to ATV Sports. I'm JC Caldwell. Now let's start off with the Lady Aggies softball team, who played a 3-game series against Nevada. The first game on Thursday started slow, with neither team scoring a run until the 3rd inning. But the Aggies turned up the heat, and with this home run from senior Gabriela Jimenez, it put USU up 6-1. But once the Aggies led by 7 in the 7th inning, Nevada came back with their own answer.
If you're a Wolfpack fan, you got to be asking yourself, where has this been for 6 innings?
Run after run, it came down to this home run to put the Wolfpack back up to the top, and this swing and a miss to seal the deal. The 194th ranked Wolfpack took the dub 10-9 over the 166th ranked Aggies. For the second game, USU was first to put points on the board with this single and RBI from senior Brie Lerma. But their point didn't keep them satisfied for long after Nevada hit a home run, bringing in 3 runs of their own.
All of a sudden, the Aggies trail by 3 runs.
This time, USU had learned their lesson and kept the battle going. The Aggies tied the Wolfpack after Gabby's 2nd home run of the weekend. Junior Tyler Thornton ran through home plate to end the game in favor of the Aggies 6-5. And last but definitely not least, you'll need peanuts and Cracker Jacks for this final game on Saturday that left the players smiling for the rest of the weekend. Freshman Ariel Lopez hit her 2nd career home run to put the Aggies in the lead in the 2nd inning. Gabby Jimenez, the Mountain West Softball Player of the Week, then wanted some action of her own and scored not just 1, but 2 home runs for the Aggies, making it her 4th of the series and 10th home run of the season, tying Lexi Orozco for most this season. The game and the series ended with this, a huge double play from Utah State to secure their victory 8-7. And settling down after their celebrations, I talked to Gabby Jimenez earlier about how she felt about the team's win.
To start off, I know that you guys had a full weekend against Nevada. How did those games go? How are you feeling?
Overall, I feel great. We're at a good position right now. We're 2nd in conference, and this weekend we're looking forward to playing UNLV at their field, and we're just going to go out with enthusiasm and play as a team.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know that you personally did pretty good. You had a few of your own home runs. So how are you feeling personally going forward?
Personally, I am just staying confident. I'm not trying to overly do things. Like, I'm just trying to do things for my team and continue to be that leader on the field and stay positive.
So I've never played softball, but let's take it back to kind of the games this past weekend. What does it feel like to hit a home run and to like just run and know that you're gonna, you know, that you hit it that far?
Honestly, I was just trying to battle this whole weekend on every at-bat because I'm not trying to blame it on the umpires, but the umpires sometimes made a bad call and I would get mad and I was like, okay. So I had to like continue my at-bat and I didn't let that get in my head, and it felt great to like show what I'm capable of.
Yeah, and I know that you guys lost the first game on Thursday. So when it's kind of like that and you're down and it's like, oh, we need to win, how do you go from losing that game to putting yourself in a mindset to like, okay, we need to come out and win for those next 2 games?
So actually I sent a text message to my whole team letting them know like what we're capable of, and I know what we all are capable of. And I said, we will, if we continue to believe in each other, we will succeed and we will win, and we have to keep that confidence. And we came out the next day and it showed clearly what we can do, and it was very exciting to win those 2 close, very games.
Yesterday, Aggie softball had another game against Idaho State, winning 10-9. Lexi Orozco now holds the record for most career RBIs in USU history and is tied for most home runs, and softball wasn't the only team that claimed success. Men's tennis celebrated Javier Ruiz after his crucial point to win the match against Boise State. The 4-3 victory avenged the team's last season 4-1 loss to the Broncos. Women's tennis played in a neutral location match against Colorado State Saturday in Wyoming. The Aggies lost 4-0 with 1 point going to the Rams because USU only had 5 players available for single matches. Women's tennis will play Boise State next week. Utah State track and field competed in the Mount Sac Relays Friday in California. Senior Katie Haviland was responsible for USU's high water mark of 2 competitions, winning the women's 3,000-meter steeplechase. You're all caught up in sports. Back to you, Yvonne, at the desk.
Thanks, JC. You can find the magic of Hogwarts in the pages of Harry Potter, but for one leukemia survivor, the magic came alive. Make-A-Wish volunteers transformed Old Main into Hogwarts for 6-year-old Bridger Searle. He has battled leukemia since 2020. Yesterday, they granted his wish. He'll meet his favorite YouTubers sometime in the future. He says his favorite part was the sorting hat.
I got sorted into Gryffindor, and the house was fun, and I liked it a lot.
The rest of Bridger's magical experience included shopping at Diagon Alley and petting Voldemort's snake. Bridger is one of many that Make-A-Wish says they hope to help this year. And in other news, we've seen USU athletes take on opponents from across the Mountain West. But Sarah Murphy joins us live to show one sporting event that was a little closer to home.
Thanks, Yvonne. Now, you might have had the chance to try out different sports growing up, but it's something that some of these kids just did for the first time. I went to an event that brought athletes of all abilities together.
A loud reaction.
That was so good.
To a common goal.
Good job.
Bringing students and athletes together.
Oh, here's one more. You got it. Just kind of hanging out with all of these kids, letting them have like a fun day and playing with them, letting them know that they're loved. It's just kind of good for both of us.
The nonprofit Special Forces partnered with Utah State University for the first time. They're bringing Cache Valley Junior High and high school students with special needs and USU athletes together.
We can get both sides together of athletes that are playing at the high school and college level, and then these kids that are in the life skills and resource classes, and getting them exposed to these different sports and things like that is our main goal. Let's see it.
From shooting baskets to throwing tomahawks.
Good job.
Balancing with gymnasts, even getting stuck.
Your jacket's kind of puffy.
To lining up at the starting line.
Oh, here we go.
And racing a D1 football coach.
That's a hard hitter right there. There we go.
Volunteers say it wasn't just the kids who felt like winners.
I woke up this morning and I was just not expecting it to be like what it was. Like, I'm honestly inspired. Like, I was halfway through it and I was like, I can do this every single day.
We want to work with athletes and get them that exposure to build compassion and empathy, along with providing those important inclusive experiences with the children with special needs.
And on a day filled with smiles and celebrating, Special Forces had one more gift to give.
We wanted to present you as a foundation with a check for $500 just for you to go and spoil yourself, because you absolutely deserve it.
A surprise Addie says she didn't see coming.
I was just like, is this me? He's talking about me right now?
Last September, Addie was diagnosed with leukemia.
I've been very mad at the world, but why be mad? I would rather smile and laugh than cry. I'm just blessed to have opportunities like this. I think it's crazy that this happened. It's way cool.
Special Forces founder and CEO Matt Lansky actually told me that the reason he started his organization and partnered with USU, he was a football player here about 20 years ago, and he wants to give back. With that, I'll toss it back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Sarah. In most cases, you would probably steer clear of a bucket full of brown water at a party snack table, but Emma Fates shows us why for some Polynesians, the bucket is the center of attention.
A dimly lit house filled with too many college kids, all drinking out of plastic cups. Seems like a standard gathering, but it's not. It's a kava mix.
Kava is a Polynesian drink that's been around for almost 3,000 years.
Kava comes from a root that's ground up and strained much like tea or coffee.
People at the kava bar don't like the chunks at the bottom.
The more you strain, the smoother the kava.
Some people have poured it straight into the bucket and stirred it up like Nesquik. I don't recommend that.
Once ready, 2 claps starts a new round of drinks in Tongan culture. You sit in the circle, your drink is handed to you, you take a swig, and it
tastes like dirt. That's what it tastes like. It tastes like dirt.
The first cup of kava I was ever handed, I was told to drink it fast or else I would just be drinking sand. But this kava, it's pretty smooth. And the flavoring they put it almost hides the bitter taste, almost. But for Fia Fia and others here, it's not all just about the kava, it's about who you're with.
The way we use kava is to bond with others and to be able to get to know new people.
Fia Fia says kava connects you to the people at the mix as well as your Polynesian heritage.
Tongans have a very strong belief that we are connected back to Whanua, or our land. And by us drinking a root, which comes from the land, we are connecting ourselves once more with that heritage, with that land.
But whether you're Polynesian or not, all are welcome.
The beauty of it, of Polynesians and Tongans, is we welcome everybody in. It's kind of the mea whakatonga, which is the Tongan way.
Emma Fates, ATV News.
Fia Fia says when he first started drinking kava, they used pantyhose to strain it, but he's a lot happier now that the methods have improved and the kava is a lot smoother.
Is your name on the most popular baby names list in Utah this year? Names.org says the top 5 boys' names for 2022 are Oliver, William, Liam, Jack, and Henry. And for the girls, Olivia, Emma, Charlotte, Amelia, and Evelyn. A link to the full list of names is on our Facebook page. Thank you for joining us for this edition of ATV News.
You can find this and other editions. Oh, looks like we took the credits early.
Well, enjoy these shots of the dune. And have a great week, Cache Valley.